Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer. This is Metatron speaking, and we're going to be talking about dragons today. I channeled a message from them earlier in the week, and I haven't looked at it since. I actually got sick. I'm still sick, so I might sound a little different, but I'm fine. But I got the message from them earlier in the week, and then I haven't looked at it since, so it's going to be brand new to me. The channeling started off with one of my dragons coming to me, and this is a dragon that I kind of just got introduced to. So all of us have a fire dragon as a spirit guide. All of us. Sometimes in addition to that, we'll have another dragon. So this is another dragon that I have. It's an air dragon. His name is, I keep wanting to pronounce it wrong. His name is Al-M. Al-M. I want to say Alum, but it's yeah, I'm being corrected. It's Al-M. And it's a male dragon. He's like a cream color. He's got kind of like a spring green-ish tips to him, where he's got kind of those like spiky scale things going down his back. Air dragons, how they're shown to me, this is not necessarily how everyone else is going to visualize them or be shown to them, but how they're shown to me is like this very long dragon, and they look very much to me like a Chinese style dragon. So like the whiskers and kind of that flat head that's kind of rectangular. So he's the one that came and gave me the message. But before I can get to this message, Metatron wanted me to share with all of you many different things that I have learned about dragons from other channelings. So we're going to go into that. So the air dragon reference. So there's air dragons, fire dragons, earth dragons, and water dragons. So he wants me to talk a little bit about those and what I'm aware of. So for the air dragons are a little bit different than the other three. So that's why we're going to talk about the other three for a quick second. So fire dragons, like I mentioned, they're tied to a soul. They are specifically a spirit guide, a guardian, a protector, for a specific soul, and they choose us. It's not like they're getting assigned to us, like they pick which soul they want to work with, and that is forever from the time your soul is made until right now. That is your spirit guide. So you have a history with this spirit guide. Water dragons are specifically tied to the bodies of water that are on the planet they are on. So they assist with water specific needs. They are not ever a guide, as far as I can tell. Their duty is to the element of water. So they are guardians over the water, protectors over the water. For earth dragons, they are tied to the land of the planet they are on. So just like the water dragons, they assist with land specific needs. It's rare. They can be assigned as a guide on top of your fire dragon guide. Metatron wanted me to talk about the blue printer planet. I am kind of obsessed with the blue printer planet, and so I ask to receive visions on this planet as often as they will give them to me. So one of the visions I had was showing me the introduction of dragons to this planet. So when it was first created, they were not there. I was shown, let me see. Oh, so just so you know, all 4 types of dragons are found on the blue printer planet, which is Ghana. So fire dragon, how do I explain this? So what they showed me was a forest, which I'm familiar with, being a part of the land of that planet. So Ghana is kind of like Lord of the Rings, where there are different areas that have different ecosystems, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like I can see where There's an area where it's like mountainous that gets snow covered in the winter. I can see that there's like a massive forest area. So that's the area that the dragons originally entered on. So there were portals that the dragons came through. So it was the fire dragons, the water dragons, and the earth dragons all came to the Blueprinter planet through portals that were in the forest. So that forest is called the Mordir Forest. There was a wizard that was incarnated at the time who lived in the forest. His soul is the same soul as Merlin's soul. He was the one to discover the portals. He went through them. I'm not sure what he did while he went through them, but he came back out, and then later the dragons started exiting these portals into the planet of Gana. The earth dragons that came through the portal stayed in the forest. So it's crazy. They showed me the forest before the dragons came through. Looked just like a regular forest. After the dragons came through, it's like they made it an enchanted forest. There were like these little clear quartz clusters that would grow at the base of the tree trunks, and there were these crystal points, like double terminated. Let me see. Okay, yeah, this kind of looks like it. So if you don't know what a double terminated point is, so having a single terminated point would kind of look like this, where it's a crystal point and it's got one point here, but this guy actually has 2 points. And so on our planet, the way this happens is you'll have a crystal growing out of a cluster, it'll come off, and then the crystal will regrow itself, it'll self-heal, and it'll make a second point. So that's how these are made here, but on that planet, they were growing in the grooves of the bark of the trees. So they were just kind of wedged in there, and you could literally just come up and pull them out of the tree. So that was a trip. Okay, yeah, so in addition to the dragons coming out of these portals, I saw fairies come out of these portals. The fairies, I can see that they set up homes inside the trees at the base of the trees. I could be wrong on that. I talk so much that I'm going through my notes that I already said to you. Yeah, okay, so the dragons that stayed in the forest, that's right, the dragons that stayed in the forest grew a colored gemstone, like right here on their head. I should have asked why. I didn't. Now I need to know that. So whenever I think of the earth dragons, the only earth dragons I've ever seen personally in my visions are these, what I call forest dragons. So that's kind of how I refer to them, as are the forest dragons. But I'm assuming, let me ask, are there other kinds of, yeah, okay, there are. I haven't seen them yet. Okay, so just for kicks, that wizard that opened the portal, his name, this might sound familiar, his name was Gandalf. You can't even make this stuff up. Gandalf the wizard. So Merlin's soul and Gandalf's soul are the same being. So Gandalf is real. For anyone who is like a Lord of the Rings fan, which, by the way, I'm actually not a Lord of the Rings fan. Now I'm having to go back and research it because I realized that so many things from that movie were actually, well, movie and books, were directly channeled to that author. So that's, sometimes they're channeling so well that they are getting accurate names. So that's what happened here. So it probably shouldn't be a surprise because I'm personally aware that any creative endeavors that people have, so musicians, painters, anything creative, there's a connection, there's a co-creation going on between you and the divine, whether you recognize that or not. So it just shows you how intense it was for that particular person. Yeah. And this is just my little speech, but if you resonate with Gandalf the Wizard, or if you resonate with Merlin the Wizard, it's because you remember him. It's because you have known them, you have had lives with them, and that's why it resonates with your heart. Okay, back to air dragon. So air dragons are shown to me as being used for travel. So you can you can ride on their back. You can ride on the back of a fire dragon too. But there is something seemingly different about the air dragons, where it's very specifically used for travel. It's almost shown to me, and I don't know if anyone knows this reference. Have you guys seen The Never-Ending Story? Do you know that flying dog, Falcor? They look kind of like that to me, where they're not furry and they're not a dog, but they have that lengthy look to them. So air dragons are used for journeying spiritually, so like shamanic work, and assisting with cosmic needs. So if you think of these other dragons, okay, fire dragons are tied to the souls of people. Earth and water dragons are tied to planets. Air dragons are different because they are cosmic. They are astral. So it makes them really cool in my mind. The information I channel says they cannot be assigned as a spirit guide, but if a need arises for someone to do shamanic work or cosmic work or astral realm work, one will choose you and bond with you and stay with you for subsequent lives. So it's not technically a spirit guide. They're not going to guide you in your development of your soul, but they are going to be a helper and work alongside you if there's a specific need. So all persons who have had an elf life in their past, so FYI, elves are real. Who knew? I didn't realize they were real until I started seeing myself in those lifetimes. So if you have had an elf life in your past, you had an air dragon assigned to you in that lifetime. So Ghana has 2 elf races. I actually have not been shown the second one. I've only seen the one that I was. One of the races, which is the one I was, used elf magic that included working in the cosmos with stars and planets, and it also includes working in a shamanic capacity in the astral realm. So if everyone in that elf race had an air dragon assigned to them. Okay. Oh, Metatron wanted me to talk to you about my memories of dragons in the elf lifetime. So when I was, I'm going to say younger, elves live a long time apparently. It seems like a couple hundred years from what I can tell. But probably in my 20s or 30s or somewhere along there, I would take care of dragon eggs from the fire dragons and the air dragons. And so I was taking care of the eggs and I was taking care of the hatchlings. And it's kind of hilarious because the eggs that I remember were almost the size of me. And so I was taking care of them. I wasn't taking care of them like I was their mother. I was taking care of them like I was dragon daycare, basically. They would drop off their eggs and I would keep them dry and I'd keep them warm, and then they'd hatch. And they were kind of just clumsy and useless dragons when they were that little, so I just kind of play with them and whatnot. So their actual parents would come and feed them and bond with them, but they weren't strong enough to fly, so I was taking care of them in that in-between period. And then once they were strong enough to fly, they would leave the nest per se. So the air dragon that came forward for me, I always want to say his name wrong. Al M. Al M. So he's one that hatched with me. We had a special bond, but of course, once he got strong enough, he left to be with all the other dragons. And then later down the line, when I learned elf magic, he chose me to bond with. So that's why he's stepping forward now. And it's kind of funny, because I could actually use an air dragon now, because I'm actually working in the astral realm now, in this lifetime. So it's kind of random, but there you go. If you're not familiar with the astral realm, it's just a space in between heaven and earth, basically. Lower dimensions. It's where demons reside. It's where souls sometimes get unnecessarily detained when they're trying to travel between death and being reunited back with the light. So I go in there to assist souls with, if they've been detained unnecessarily, I can move them back over to the light. I also go in there if I need to get someone's soul parts that they've given up. So things like that. So anyways, but if you're interested in any kind of process like that, it's stuff that I offer on my website at orangelightenergy.com. And otherwise, let me just move forward. Gosh, I wrote so much stuff here. Okay, let's just get to the message. That is why we are all here. So Al M delivered the message, but he made it clear that this was a collective message from all of the dragons that he was providing to me. The message says, "You are an original, so why do you act like a copy? Do you truly believe what we are saying? There is no other soul exactly like you. You are a unique combination of experiences, gifts, temperament, viewpoints. Your essence can't be duplicated. Your energy is complex, nuanced, delicately arranged with flavors from your many lifetimes and many choices. Creator chose who you started off as, but you have chosen everything else along the way. You have co-created yourself with him. That's right, your greatest creation, yourself, it was built with your own hands. You choose everything, where you live, what jobs you take, what people you spend time with, what ideas you like, how to treat others, whether to challenge yourself. You choose many of your experiences, and you choose how to feel about your experiences and how to behave, what words you say. What grieves us is that you are an original and you keep producing copies of someone else. You are not allowing yourself to be yourself. The world criticized you and you boxed yourself in until you were small and predictable without flavor. You are trying so hard to fit a mold that serves no one. The truth of who you are is enormous, brilliant, faceted. You hide yourself. When something brings you joy, if it might seem weird to someone, you suppress it. You downplay it. You keep all of the parts of you that might get criticized in hiding. Those parts of you are parts of your soul. When someone does something unkind and you stop yourself from saying or doing something because it could be uncomfortable, you are suppressing your soul. You do not need to be unkind to bring unkindness to light. Truths need to be brought into the light. Your original self needs to be brought into the light. The world needs your originality desperately. Your participation in your own life is needed. When you do what you think you're supposed to be doing and say what you think you're supposed to say, you are cutting off your life source. You are denying the world and yourself access to your light. You are so afraid of someone judging you that you would rather suppress yourself. Those who would judge you condemn themselves with the same measuring stick. They can't love you because they can't love themselves. Let them work on their own wounds. Do not be concerned with how they project their hurts out into the world. Their words towards you have nothing to do with you. Focus on being you. Like a racehorse, put your blinders on and run your race. Do not check to see what others are doing. That will only have you looking backwards and sideways. Be guided by your joy to how you spend your time and who you spend it with. Unite with those that make you feel more like yourself. Spend time with those that make you forget to pretend to be someone else. Connecting with others should feel safe. If you are wary, there is a reason. Listen to the signals your body gives you. Listen to your intuition. It is your early warning system. If you ignore it, there will be a price to pay in the future. And for what? Trust yourself. You know what makes you feel bad. If you feel bad around someone else, that is sufficient proof that they are not healthy for your energy. You do not need any additional proof. It only takes a few moments of being uncomfortable to break a lifetime of silence and repression. Once you commit to being yourself unapologetically and you start speaking your truth, the floodgates open. It is during the very first time, the very first words that are uncomfortable. After that, your words will flow. After that, you will realize that it doesn't really matter how anyone else responds. Not everyone needs to understand. Not everyone is meant to have the same understanding at the same time or in the same lifetimes. Be understanding of what they think and believe. They are entitled to keep their reality the way they like it. Do not let it keep you from your growth and your path. I see the wonder in your face. You remember your magic. You remember endless possibility. It lives on in the other realms. You will return to it in full one day. For now, you are the way-showers, blazing new paths on earth, helping others to remember. That's the end of the message. Wow. Now that I'm reading this message, because when you're channeling, you don't really think about the message, you just, put it down to paper or whatnot. But now that I'm going back over it again, they were talking to me too, because I was feeling a little uncomfortable and a little anxious about sharing these things that I'm seeing about the planet of Ghana, and I'm seeing dragons, and I'm seeing elves, and I'm seeing wizards, and I'm seeing portals, and it's a lot for some people to process depending on where they are in their awakening. And even those who are awakened, if you don't realize that these are real, if you haven't seen them yourself, maybe you don't believe it, right? I would not believe any of this stuff I hadn't seen it with my own third eye, I guess. But yeah, I think the dragons were speaking to me too, saying, hey, just start talking about it. Just start talking. That's why Metatron wanted me to go into this a little bit more. Just start talking about these things more. And it opens doorways, and then it gets a lot easier after that. So hopefully we can all apply this information to sharing more about who we truly are with others, especially the people that we're around the most, our friends and our family members, that we maybe fall back into old patterns when we're around because we don't think they would be super comfortable knowing that we've had a spiritual awakening, that we're aware of things that may sound pretty crazy. So I hope this message reaches you all well, and anything else I get, of course, I will give it to you all. Until next time, bye-bye.